With the coronavirus pandemic dominating the headlines all across our globe, we've heard from doctors, politicians, and other medical professionals about COVID-19, but we haven't heard much from those that are actually diagnosed and fighting the virus right now. So joining us via Zoom all the way from California, we've got Angelo Gallo. Donnie Bryant is here with me. First off, sir, how are you feeling today? How are your symptoms at this point?
Today's the first day in almost a month where I'm starting to feel normal. It's the first day without chest pains. It's feeling like the valves have started to at least heal in my heart, and I haven't coughed today. So first day in almost a month. So actually really well, doing really well.
Can you go into detail about your infection with the virus? Describe your overall experience. Was this anything like the flu?
It's nothing like the flu, and that's what's tricky about it. At first, you think you have the flu. I walked outside, told my CMO, "Wow, it's really humid and hot today," and she looked at me and said, "It's 50 degrees." And then the next day, I walked outside and I said, "It's really hot," or it's really cold. She says, "It's 72." Then 3, 4, 5 days later, I started getting joint pain and chest pain. I thought, well, I've just got the flu, and this is a month ago. A few days after that, 100-degree temperature plus, and then right after that, the lung infection and the heart infection set in. So, and that's a month in. It's only just within the last few days I've started feeling better. We're in a household. We're all quarantined. She's 35, asymptomatic. Her daughter's 4, has a very light case of the coronavirus, a fever for 1 or 2 nights, and still just a cough, but that's it with her. And her husband has a pretty mild case. He still has a cough. So yeah, we're locked down, and it's been about a month for us.
Angelo, can you describe your point of contact with the virus? How do you think you were infected? Describe the area that you live in a little bit. You mentioned earlier that you had a cruise ship come to an area near you. There was someone in your household who may have been to a political rally. Can you go into details about that?
There was a cruise ship in Oakland that was docked with numerous believed to be or confirmed to believe to be coronavirus patients. They were brought to the Asilomar Beach Conference Center, which is a state conference center on Asilomar Beach, adjoining Pebble Beach, which people would know the road that it then can turn into a 17-mile drive. We also had a cruise ship come into Monterey Bay last month. These are companies that don't pay taxes in the United States. They're in other countries is where they've recorded to have these tax havens, and they're rolling cesspools. And there was nothing done to prevent this and to just quarantine and leave everybody on the ships for a couple of weeks until it passed. We don't know if it came from that, because the Asilomar Beach Conference Center is literally a mile or 2 from where I live now. Or if it came from a local political activity or rally within the local Monterey water board community.
So tell me about the testing process and how you and everybody within your home were able to understand that you had the coronavirus and that you were testing positive for it, because test kits aren't readily available right now in most parts of the country.
So the tests that most people are going to go through, you're going to have a list of symptoms. The first thing that they're going to ask is, have you had a fever? Have you had a dry cough? On top of that, have you had joint pain? Those are going to be your biggest symptoms. Has this lasted more than 4, 5, 6, 7 days? If that's the case, they're going to come back with a 90% or higher probability that you have the coronavirus. The next step is going to be request an exam. I'm fortunate enough that I have a concierge doctor. I called him and he's like, well, this is what we have to pay for the exams. And he said $3,000. And that's because what they're going for in the secondhand medical market to even private concierge doctors. I elected not to take that because he said, I'm positive. He's 100%. I'm positive. Everybody in the house is sick with the same symptoms. And someone within our inner circle at a political event was diagnosed, and we're a block away from the cruise ship passengers. I am going in for the antibody test this week and to see a cardiologist for the valve damage to my heart that's been diagnosed through my private doctor as well. And my CMO's husband also is seeing his doctor, who also confirmed that he had it. and that's the same household as us. So you lock down, you wait. As soon as I can leave the house and go to a medical facility to have blood work done, they will confirm the antibodies, and that'll be that. Yeah, that's the process, and that's going to be the process for most Americans. You're just going to have to wait.
Now, moving forward, how are you feeling today? Are you scared? Are you nervous? When do you think that the entire country will reach its peak with this virus? Do you see this going away anytime soon?
According to my analysis, and I am a trained political analyst by training, if everybody were to lock down right now, we're looking at 2 to 3 weeks quarantine, and that's if we can do mass disinfection, if we can make sure that we're still feeding everybody. We've put the homeless into, that's the other thing we've learned, we can house the homeless now. Why haven't we done this for the last decade? And make sure everybody's protected, and then administer right now a coronavirus lab to everybody, get everybody tested. You're looking at 2-3 weeks this ends. That's not happening in America. You had a Mardi Gras parade. You had beaches in Florida open. The mayor of Los Angeles just had to close all the parks and hiking trails yesterday. If that continues, you're looking at an incredibly high mortality rate of around 10%. So you're talking up to 2 million people dying, and this not ending until August. America will be bankrupt then, and every individual in this country will be bankrupt then. So we have a choice as a society: stay inside and bite the bullet and end this now and save this country, or continue down this path of destruction and government malfeasance, and we no longer exist in August. I mean, that's what we're looking at. This is an epidemic. There's a reason they call it an epidemic. It could be world ending, and people aren't treating it like that.
So when you initially got the positive results from your doctors, where they told you 99% sure that you were infected with coronavirus, what were their directions for you? How did they tell you to go about getting cured and ultimately getting better from this?
Well, hydration, hydrate the whole time. When we received our diagnosis, it was early on. I was taking a lot of ibuprofen for the joint pain, and I learned that is potentially a catastrophic mistake. It took away the swelling because it's an anti-inflammatory. It was great. And I was taking 2 baby aspirin as well to thin the blood because of the heart pain I was having. You know, as much Robitussin as you can possibly handle to be the cough suppressant and extractant at the same time. So with the joint pain going away, I was still having chest pain. And when I talked to my doctor again, he was like, hey, there's these studies out of France right now. You should really stop taking the ibuprofen, because the joint pain's a good thing. You might suffer. You might feel like your bones are being crushed. Do not take ibuprofen, because what happens is that inflammation is actually your body releasing antibodies. Those antibodies then attack the virus. If you're removing the joint inflammation, you're removing the ability for your body to properly defend itself. And we have amazing bodies. You know, we can recover really easy. So if I were to do it again and didn't take ibuprofen, I probably wouldn't have got heart valve damage.
What are you doing to boost your immunity during this time? Are you worried that you're going to get reinfected or contract this virus again?
No, not for at least a year to 2. And luckily, I live in a house full with scientists, and we have doctors in our company, and one's a retired Harvard medical professor. So we're very fortunate to have. I have a team of geniuses around me, and how viruses work is you develop the antibodies, and you're going to be good for a year or 2 on this version of the coronavirus. Now, if it mutates or changes into something else, you're probably not going to be immune against that, just like the flu. That's why there's an annual flu vaccine. So you'll be good for a year or 2. The thinking is as soon as we have actual blood work that verifies the antibodies in our system, which means 2 things. 1, we're no longer officially contagious, and 2, you're immune from this version of the virus. We'll be able to re-enter the community, get back to our political work and our volunteer work, and become community assets. So it's also important, I think, that if you believe you have the virus and you haven't been diagnosed, to do your best to find an actual test, but get it confirmed by a doctor. Get your blood work done, and then you're in the clear, and you can make sure that your neighbor who's just had cancer treatment has their food. You can make sure that the old guy down the street has his groceries because he's compromised and can't leave. We're going to have to see a massive volunteer response from the healthy as well to eradicate this quickly. And that the healthy, the only people you can prove are healthy are those with the antibodies. And that's those that have been sick and recovered, or those that have received the vaccine, which should be coming out within the next 9 to 12 months.
Now, Angelo, as a political analyst that has his political science degree from Ohio State, you've obviously been very plugged in on what the government's been doing to try to combat the coronavirus and some of the moves that they've made. I'm curious to get your opinion on how our government as a whole has done from the top level trickling down.
So starting at the top, we've got our 3 branches of government that we all learn about in school. We have the upper and lower chamber of Congress, the Senate and the House. You have the executive branch and the judiciary. Judiciary has no real role in it yet because official martial law hasn't been enacted and no one's brought an immediate case to the Supreme Court. You have the executive branch, which a month ago is saying that this was a Democratic hoax. Well, the largest city in China and the largest cities in Europe have been put on lockdown. You have Madrid shut down, 3-4 weeks ago. And then you have the state level, Ohio, good job. One of the best states in the country. Your governor, despite me not agreeing with his political views, has done a wonderful job shutting down Ohio, making sure people understood the virus. You have an explosion in Detroit right now. You have an explosion in Chicago. You have an explosion in Pittsburgh, your surrounding states, Illinois, Michigan, and Pennsylvania did nothing compared to Ohio. You're ahead of the curve. California shut down quickly, New York shut down quickly, but your governor's been a really good advocate in explaining this and differing from his own, not just his own party, but his party's leader on this. And if the rest of the country followed Ohio's lead, this is done in a month. So I would rate Ohio as one of the top 2 or 3 states in handling this. The surrounding states, not so much. So that, of course, puts Ohio at risk. And again, I would advocate a complete lockdown. Everybody stays at home, no crossing borders, no anything, and this goes away.
Now, in speaking to Americans throughout the country, in closing, give us your message of hope or a message or a word of advice moving forward.
The best thing you can do is avoid people. This isn't a terrible time. You can read books. You can watch music. You can learn music. Learn how to play the guitar. I'm told, a simple instrument. I'm being pushed to do that here. Just don't sit around and focus on this. Just make sure you're clean, your hands are washed, and you're keeping your distance from people. And as soon as you're healthy, you're verified as healthy with your blood work, help. You're going to have to step out and help, because this is local. This isn't federal. It's not state. It's your neighbor. Your neighbor's sick. Pretty much look outside your window, pick 3 people. Odds are one of them has this, even if they're asymptomatic. Those are the real numbers. Those are the numbers that every CDC curve actually has. It's terrible for the country. It's terrible economically. People don't know how they're going to survive. And the answer is we have to depend on ourselves and our neighbors. That's where we're at right now. That's the only solution. Until the system can handle local municipalities requesting money from the feds, and until the feds start dispersing that into way of the medical supplies, our only solution is a shelter in place, social distancing, and this now, because that's the quickest route to not just surviving this, but to eradicating this virus and ending this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, during these challenging, unprecedented times, obviously I think with the technology that we have in 2020, we can all get by and find ways to entertain ourselves from our very home. So thank you so much for joining us. 1997 Mansfield senior, 2002 Ohio State graduate, now stationed out in Los Angeles. We're pleased to hear that you have a team of geniuses around you that are helping getting you cured out there, and best of luck to you with the health, everybody in your home.
And thank you, gentlemen.
Obviously a great interview with Angelo just now. We haven't had an opportunity to speak with very many people that have the coronavirus and are actually dealing with the COVID-19. What was one of the top takeaways that you would say you took from what he just said?
I think it's getting into the community spread aspect of the virus. He doesn't know how he was infected.
Sure.
It could be a political rally. He said a cruise ship was near the area, so he was unaware of the point of contact with the virus. So it's pretty scary times that we're living in. You can't leave your home. If you do, you're worried. Where are you going to get the virus from? Can you get the virus? Are you going to bring it back home? So it's best that we stay at home, listen to our local authorities.
That's definitely the top piece of advice that he suggested. You know, with the technology, like we were just talking about, Donnie, I mean, there's so many different ways to stay entertained, whether it's video games, staying connected via Zoom, FaceTime, lots of different ways to stay connected with the community. So stay at home, do our part, and I was pleased to hear that he felt Governor DeWine has done a good job of staying ahead.
And I'm happy he is recovering.